Yo, what's up, agents? Coming at you today with what I believe to be the best solo PvP build for 1.6. So let's go ahead and just jump right in it. So the purpose of this build is obviously to solo because it's a solo build, but when we look at all the stats, we need to keep in mind that we need to be able to do damage and have good survivability. Because if we have damage, but we're not able to survive, you're not doing anything with your damage. But if you don't have enough damage, even if you're surviving, you're not going to be able to kill anything, or it would just take way too long in PvE instances. So for the sake of this video, we're going to look at damage modifiers to be the base firearms we have, headshots, criticals, and the base weapon damage, which is different from the amount of firearms we have. And for survivability, we're going to look at that as a combination of health and our healing skills, whether that's booster shot or support station, or both, whatever you're using. However, for my build, this particular build, the abilities we'll be using is Concealer Pulse and Booster Shot. Booster Shot specifically for the damage and mitigation, whereas Overdose just gives you more health. So let's get to it. So when we're allocating our stats, we're going to optimize our stamina for Unforgiving, the weapon talent. My build is at 5k stamina, which is fine, so somewhere around there is good. And then after that, we're going to max firearms, and we're not going to worry about electronics. But we've still got a few tricks up our sleeves. So I'm currently at those stats. And as a quick note, as opposed to the last patch, the armor scaling, this patch has been rebalanced. So stamina is still useful and it'll make you tanky. But it goes back to what I was saying earlier, is we need to balance being survivable and having good damage. And the loss of damage when building into lots of stamina isn't worth it for a solo player, because we need that damage. So this is my current setup. I just did a quick photo because it was fast and easy. I figured I'll just post it up there just to confirm that this is like what I'm using. But yep. The next slide will have kind of like the thought process behind pretty much everything here. No, that's the wrong way. So, taking a look at weapons first, my primary recommendations will be the assault rifle class or an LMG for that. And I'd recommend referring to Wobo's weapon guide, which I will include a link in the description, which you should definitely check out, because that guide is really good and it can help you determine what weapon to use. And I'm just giving you kind of like the class, the weapon class to use. For your secondary, I prefer a sniper, for that like long distance burst. But you can use a SMG, LMG, or shotgun if you kind of want to have another weapon to switch to finish someone off. You can't really do that with a sniper because it's like one bullet, but like if you're just kind of like spraying, hoping they're gonna go down, then you're gonna wanna probably like a SMG, I think. And as for my pistol, I prefer using a 163 pistol because you can get intense and harmful on it, which is a lot of status effects. Also, by dropping your gear score, you can really tilt people, because they'll constantly be wondering why they're being killed by someone at a lower gear score. It'll just super frustrate them, trust me. Now moving on to the more important things like our gear, We have Barrett's Chestpiece as you saw on the previous slide. It's important, but it's not mandatory. You can substitute it with Vigorous or Rapid, which you can see I'm alluding to kind of like the secret to my build right there. However, Barrett's Chestpiece is very versatile with the cooldown management, because you can proc 3 different things, and depending on the scenario, you try to go for the one you need the most. And as for the attributes on it, I run health, and then you can do EDR or skill haste. I prefer skill haste because that's actually what this build is based around, and I like going for as much as I possibly can without giving up too much. But if you really want the EDR, there's nothing wrong with that. Now going to our backpack, we're using the specialized backpack. So now we're getting all that skill power based off the firearms and stamina we were building earlier. This I don't think cannot be substituted. You have to use specialized backpack here. There's not another backpack you want to use. And we're gonna roll skill power on it because as you can get good amount of skill power on it, and it synergizes with the backpack itself. And we tie that in with the mask we have, which is the refreshed mask. So between just the backpack and the mask, we're getting a lot of survivability. And since we also have skill power on the mask, our heal is going to be doing so much, especially if we're in that last third segment. Like let's say we get to our last third segment and we booster shot, that booster shot is going to do a lot of work because of the refresh mask and all the skill power we just accumulated between these two items. Now for the MC gloves, this again, like the backpack, cannot be substituted because this gives you all of the damage. We need this damage. And you're going to want your primary damage, critical hit chance, and then probably one of these 3. The reason why there are a couple choices there because it is an exotic item, so you kind of have to work with what you get. So like for mine, I actually have enemy armor damage here for this one. And then for the grenade RPM hacks, we need the short bow knee pads. And we're going to throw health on those. You could put skill power, or you could put something else, but I like having health there because it works with the health we rolled earlier on the chest piece. And then finally our holster, you're pretty free to use what you want for your holster. But I would recommend getting skill haste on your holster because it'll tie in and work together. Because now if we go to our next slide, if you notice on our gear mods, we actually build skill haste. So this is a kind of skill haste focused build. I'm running 30% skill haste right now, but I have to give up EDR for it, which is alright. A little PSA, shock turrets and seeker mines. They're pretty weak and you can shoot at them. So if you see someone use one of those, just start shooting at it. Flame turrets they have a lot of health, so you might want to just avoid those. But the other ones, you can actually deal with them. But going back to skill haste and why we run it, well, you get over a 6-second cooldown difference for your booster shot, which is very significant, especially in PvP. With like let's say you're playing Last Stand, like if there's usually constant fighting going on, so it's really nice having that heal up. And plus having the additional skill power to reduce the cooldown just doesn't feel as effective. So that's why we run skill haste. Now looking at our weapon mods, we run headshot focus and triple damage if possible. Everything else is pretty self-explanatory. So for example, like magazine size, having the extended mag is really good. And then performance mods, Self heal, there isn't really a better choice for solo players. And even if you aren't a solo player, it's still really good. So that's kind of what we do with our mods, and you can see how that kind of works with how we picked our gear.